In 2020, Luckin Coffee fabricated $310 million in sales. It was delisted from Nasdaq. It paid $180 million in penalties. It filed for bankruptcy. By 2023, it had overtaken Starbucks as China's largest coffee chain. It now has 22,000 stores. It is trying to relist on Nasdaq. Nobody went to prison. The company was founded in 2017 by Jenny Qian and Charles Liu. The idea was simple. Starbucks in China was slow, expensive, and required you to stand in line. Luckin would be faster, cheaper, and entirely app-based. You ordered ahead. The coffee was ready when you arrived. No line, no wait. It worked. By 2019, Luckin was opening stores faster than any coffee chain in history. In May of that year, it listed on Nasdaq, raising $651 million at $17 per share. Investors were told the company was growing at a rate that defied conventional logic. The numbers showed explosive user growth, explosive revenue growth, and a market in China that Starbucks had barely touched. The valuation reached $12.7 billion. What the investors were seeing was approximately half true. On January 31, 2020, Carson Block, the founder of Muddy Waters Research, published an 89-page report alleging that Luckin's numbers were fabricated. Block had not written the report. A firm called Snow Lake Capital had, after deploying 1,418 part-time workers to visit 620 Luckin stores, collect 25,000 receipts, and record 11,000 hours of video footage. The most comprehensive private surveillance operation ever conducted on a public company. Luckin called the allegations false and baseless. On April 2, 2020, Luckin disclosed the results of its own internal investigation. The COO's office had fabricated approximately $310 million in sales during 2019, roughly 40% of all revenue the company had reported that year. 3 simultaneous schemes: fake voucher sales run through related parties, circular advertising payment loops, and a shadow database layered across thousands of stores. To make the margins look plausible, the team had also inflated expenses by $190 million. This was not a simple accounting error. It required active construction. The stock fell as much as 80% in a single day. Chairman Charles Liu had pledged 76 million shares as collateral against a $518 million personal margin loan, without disclosing it to the board or investors. When the stock collapsed, his lenders, Goldman Sachs, Haitong, Credit Suisse, sold the pledged shares. They recovered $210 million. Liu's shortfall exceeded $300 million. Banks filed for court orders in the Cayman Islands and the British Virgin Islands to wind up his controlling entities. The SEC confirmed Luckin had raised $864 million from investors while the fraud was running. Nasdaq delisted Luckin in May 2020. The SEC fined the company $180 million. China's regulator fined it $8.98 million. In February 2021, Luckin filed for Chapter 15 bankruptcy in the United States. When it emerged from restructuring in April 2022, creditors had received approximately 7.5 cents on the dollar. COO Jan Liu resigned on the day of the disclosure. No confirmed criminal conviction has been recorded in any public jurisdiction. Jenny Qian was removed as CEO. She made no public statement. Charles Liu was removed as chairman. He launched a new company. He called it Cotty Coffee. It sells coffee. It competes directly with Luckin. Nobody went to prison. Here's what nobody put in the postmortem. Snow Lake Capital, the firm that deployed 1,418 workers and 11,000 hours of surveillance to expose the fraud, purchased a minority stake in Luckin Coffee in November 2022. It predicted the company would overtake Starbucks. It was right. By 2024, Luckin had $4.7 billion in real revenue, 22,000 real stores, a 10% operating margin. Starbucks was exploring selling a stake in its China business. Luckin is now selling coffee in Manhattan to the same financial market it defrauded on Nasdaq 5 years earlier. It is preparing to relist. The fraud removed approximately 40% of reported revenue. The business underneath grew 87% in 2023. The question nobody asked, if the business was real all along, what exactly was the fraud for? Luckin Coffee? Hidden capital.